Riot Games' competitive first-person shooter Valorant has just been released, and everyone loves it, maintaining its hype from the closed beta period where some players tried out Valorant, leaving the rest of us in awe at this new game. So why did this game draw so much hype? I can say I've never been this excited for the release of a video game, and I know I vouch for many others when I say that. Well, for one, it combined the gameplay and art style of two first-person shooters that almost everyone knows or has played: Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or CSGO, and Overwatch. Counter-Strike games have had a long history and have gained an enormous community over the years, with players loving this 5v5 realistic competitive game between terrorists attempting to plant and detonate a bomb and with counter-terrorists defending the terrorists from two sites. Overwatch is a vibrant, chaotic 6v6 game with many different modes, with players choosing from 32 and growing heroes which each have at least 4 unique abilities. A game that's also amassed a huge community and competitive level. What's not to love about Valorant? You get to choose between multiple characters with unique, easy to use abilities in the much loved 5v5 attackers versus defenders game mode of CSGO. As someone who has many hours in and absolutely loves both these games, I couldn't wait for Valorant. Finally, there was a new game that shared CSGO's playstyle with different heroes and abilities like in Overwatch, and it did not disappoint. Sure, I still love CS and Overwatch, but I'm finding myself enjoying Valorant much more. My question is, why is that? Why do I like Valorant over CSGO? And what makes Valorant so popular? What makes something fun in general? Let's talk about CSGO first, and why I think CSGO is fun or addicting. Unlike Valorant, it doesn't really have a super colorful, vibrant aesthetic feel or art style, and I think the main reason people get hooked on CSGO is its realistic gameplay that's extremely tough. CSGO has an extremely steep learning curve and is generally an extremely hard game to play. There's a huge skill gap between people new to CS and pros or high-level players, and there's a lot to learn for new people just trying to reach the intermediate ranks of CS. For instance, economy. You have to have a good grasp of both teams' economy to best decide when to eco, force, upgrade, or full buy on gear with the limited money each team gets at the beginning of each round. You have to know when to save, when to prioritize planned, and understand how that, as well as loss bonus, affects both your and your opponent's economy. This aspect of the game is super important and pretty complicated, as your money dictates your guns, utility, and gear, which are all super important to, well, winning. If you disregard the economy of the match and make improper decisions, you could fall into a long-term downward spiral and end up being extremely mismatched for many rounds, playing against opponents with much better and complete gear, giving them a huge advantage over you for each and every round. For instance, you can't just spend all your money buying armor without helmets and SMGs without utility every round. Sure, it might work if both teams' economies aren't so great, but if the other team buys or ecos for one round to buy the next, you'll get trashed as you continue to buy lackluster gear and weak guns, with the opponents using their better assault rifles or sniper rifles and utility to defeat you round after round, gaining momentum as you are stuck in your economic slump. Anyways, that's just one aspect of CSGO. Then there's map knowledge. This one requires a lot of experience and is crucial in higher ranks, or even middle ranks. CSGO has many big maps with boxes and cars and other obstructions with certain entryways and crucial areas to take control of, and you need to know all of this in order to succeed. You need to know which angles to prioritize holding and which areas to be conscious of as you hold or take a site. Otherwise, you could very easily be caught off guard and killed, whether it be from a flank or just an unsuspecting angle the opponents were hiding at. Or you could get killed instantly as your opponents peeked common angles using their map knowledge, with you sitting right there. Another big, hard aspect of CSGO is its, aiming mechanics, a level of difficulty that sets CSGO and CS games apart from other shooter games like COD or Call of Duty. There's spray, movement inaccuracy, and simply aiming at people in general isn't easy, of course. Every weapon in CS has a recoil or spray pattern that you have to know, or you should generally know, to actually be able to kill people. and for most rifles, the spray pattern is quite drastic and hard to control. If you don't know these patterns, if you don't account for these patterns, you'll find your bullets and your crosshair heading above and away your opponents as you try to kill them by holding down mouse 1. If you don't commit these patterns to muscle memory or even pull down in the right direction with good timing, you'll find it extremely hard to kill people at all. In close to medium distances, they'll outspray you and you'll quickly lose the firefight. And a huge aspect of aiming is movement and accuracy. You can't just run and gun with most guns in the game. If you do, you'll find your bullets firing everywhere on your screen but your crosshair. You need to learn to stop moving while firing or crouching or counter-strafing to have your bullets even come close to your opponents, leaving yourself much more vulnerable as opposed to running and gunning, though which can be done with some certain submachine guns. If you're new to first-person shooters, another challenge you'll face is aiming in general and just getting your crosshair near your opponents. Flicks and aim in general requires a lot of experience with your sensitivity and your mouse, and if you don't have aim, obviously you won't be able to shoot people at all as you struggle to place your crosshair on them. Now these 3 aspects are just some of what makes CSGO so hard for people to get into and for new players to succeed. So why do people continue to play CS, and why do people even get addicted given all of these challenges to have a chance at winning games? Well, it's precisely because of these technical challenges that draw people in CS. It's because this game is so hard to do well in that we continue to play this game. This is what actually hooks us, as it makes it all the more worthwhile when we finally win games, pull off ridiculous plays, and destroy our opponents, sending surges of dopamine rushes to our brain and making us want to continue to play and continue to demonstrate what we learned and continue to get better. That makes us want to learn, and that makes us want to continue to progress and get better. And we really get into CS as we dive into the large community, play with friends, and win games. Of course, the same entry level of difficulty does shun a lot of people away from CS. People that don't really play first-person shooters or FPS games would naturally have an incredibly hard time trying to play the game, and so they don't get hooked and they don't continue playing, as they struggle to find any success and they don't continue trying to succeed. They stop playing before they would start climbing the learning curve and before they would see success. This may explain why Valorant is so appealing to such a large audience and wide variety of gamers, still targeting the experienced, skilled players like the CS player base, while also appealing to those inexperienced and unfamiliar with first-person shooters by having a lesser general skill requirement and slower skill cap, and making some aspects generally easier. Why is Valorant so popular? Or what does Valorant do differently? Well, generally, Valorant offering players over 12 different heroes to play from, each with unique abilities, playstyles, and aesthetics, is pretty appealing. Rather than playing a standard terrorist or counter-terrorist with the same guns, same utility as everyone else, like in CSGO, in Valorant, you can customize your experience and choose between extremely different heroes to play as. You get to play as someone you possibly align yourself with, or as someone who has the traits you want to have. This is a pretty big factor to the game's popularity, as like in Overwatch, you can choose your own main hero you want to play as. Naturally, wouldn't this draw people's attention, especially if, say, they have a specific character they have in mind and they want to play as, making them still want to play the game even though they may not love the technical competitive aspect of the game, since they can still play as their favorite hero. The addition of different heroes or champions in this game adds a whole new level of appeal. In CSGO, the main appeal is the competitive, realistic, technical gameplay. And isn't that the main appeal of video games? Getting to explore a new world, play as a new character, different from our everyday lives? Essex University stated that we love video games because they're the best way to try out characteristics we'd like to have, or they allow us to try on different hats. In Overwatch and Valorant, this is exemplified with many different characters with rich personalities and unique attributes, and in Overwatch there's even deep lore behind each and every character. Whereas in CSGO, everyone plays as a standard soldier or terrorists. In CSGO, who you play as definitely isn't a big appeal. People rarely say they love CSGO for its personality. the appeal is within the scenarios of you fighting with or against terrorists, defending or attacking a bomb site. They love the core game mode of competitive, intense gunplay. Something that makes Valorant so appealing is that while people can be drawn to the characters and who they can be, like in Overwatch, they can also still have the fun game mode and scenario of attacking defending a bomb site, like in CSGO, increasing the audience for this game. Another way Riot Games has designed Valorant for a larger variety of people can be seen with the gunplay or core gameplay, not just the lore / story / personality that CSGO doesn't really have. Shroud, an ex-professional CSGO player who's now a video game streamer, said that Valorant is trying to reach people that don't play FPS games, that a lot of people that have been playing Valorant have never touched a first-person shooter in their life, but Valorant allows them to. It's not as punishing. He says it's not as punishing because the skill ceiling of Valorant is just lower than in CSGO. That while in CSGO, pros can straight up dominate purely using their technical skills, in Valorant, it's made easier to the point where new players can actually play the game without being destroyed, and that those more skilled players can't use their experience and pure technical skill to dominate. The entry skill level and the skill ceiling are both much lower. He says this can be seen with how the movement is dumbed down, aiming is dumbed down, and abilities bridge the gap between low and high level gameplay. Take a look at the movement. The movement in Valorant is much more simple than in CSGO. Take bunny hopping, a skill in CSGO where players jump at the exact moment they land and strafing with the mouse, A and D keys, thus gaining momentum. In Valorant, there isn't bunny hopping. You don't gain momentum if you land a perfect bunny hop or B hop. You don't need to strafe to maintain constant speed, and there's a longer period of time for when you can jump without losing momentum. Plus, even though you carry out a constant speed, when you land you get slowed, so really an advanced skill like B-hopping in CSGO isn't present in Valorant. Or take tough jumps. In CSGO, every map is quite large and has a lot of detail and precisely placed obstructions, to the point where if you jump at the perfect time and strafe perfectly at the perfect angle, you can reach extremely strong, unexpected angles to defeat your opponent. Not only are the maps in Valorant much smaller, they are so much more straightforward without many precisely played ledges or boxes, eliminating a lot of potential for tough jumps that the more skilled players can use to their advantage. Plus, even new players can make such jumps since they don't need to know how to strafe, being able to just press the forward key to go forward and keep their momentum. And they also have extremely straightforward abilities at their disposal. Look at Jett. Jett is able to take advantage of strong angles simply by pressing one button and floating to get the high ground and to go on top of the stacked boxes on every map. Additionally, the economy within Valorant is much more lenient and has much more leeway. It doesn't punish you that much, unlike CSGO. In Valorant, I usually only save my money for like one round, since you earn more money overall with lower costs for utility, which are the abilities. Full buying is more common overall, and another way we can see that the economy of the game is designed for inexperienced players is with the buy UI, simply in the fact that it shows the minimum amount of money you will get for the next round, as well as the money the opponents have. You don't have to have as much game knowledge, since they show you, like the output for certain abilities, which we'll get into later, your money for the next round, as well as the opponent's money, so you can meticulously plan out what to buy this round and be able to full or semi-buy the next round. Aiming in Valorant is still hard, like in CSGO, having to require a high degree of precision to hit flicks, spray, and just actually aim at your opponents. It's similar. Still, personally, I find killing people much easier in Valorant. I find the sprays of the Valorant guns much more easy to control than their CSGO counterparts. The aim punch isn't as jarring, and I feel like the guns often don't spray too far upwards, especially in comparison to the spray of the guns in CSGO. Plus, there's an option to aim down sight with almost every gun in Valorant, and when scoped in like this, the crosshair actually follows the bullets, showing you where to aim or what mouse movements to make in order to land your bullets where you want them to go, not requiring your intuition and memorization of the spray control as much, since you can just make sure to align your crosshair with the opponent. Finally, another aspect that's dumbed down is utility usage in Valorant. Just take a look at Omen's or Brimstone's smoke abilities. They have a super easy to use UI that shows them where their smokes will land and even can help since they get to see the structure of the map within those UIs, allowing them to see which openings or angles their smokes will be the most efficient at. In CSGO, executing precise smokes takes a lot of learning, memorization, and experience. Since there is no UI, you have to know where to stand, what to look at, and choose between a precise jump smoke, walking smoke, crouching smoke, running smoke, or a combination of the variations, with various throw lengths just to smoke off an angle. One-way smokes that only give your angle an advantage are extremely hard to do impromptu in CSGO. But in Valorant with Jet, you can just toss it and it will stick to any surface at all, allowing for easy one-ways since the smokes can pop anywhere, not just on the ground like in CS. Don't get me wrong, there still is a high skill ceiling and much room for potential with the addition of unique abilities and thus greater stress on teamwork as opposed to CS and still needed technical skill. But generally speaking, getting into Valorant is easier, allowing players to have an easier and more relaxed time playing the game, enabling more areas for success and surges of dopamine that keeps people interested in playing the game. Plus, Riot Games has smartly designed Valorant so that those increased moments where you succeed are that much more rewarding than they would be in CSGO, increasing the flow of dopamine and hooking you even more to playing this game. For example, take a listen at the Valorant kill sound. This satisfying, strong sound effect rewards you for killing enemies and motivates you to continue your kill streak, with the sound increasing in tone and suspense with each successive kill. While this happens, various kill banners appear at the bottom of your screen, looking stronger and fiercer with each kill. And if you manage to kill every opponent on the enemy team, the final extremely triumphant sound is played with the narrator shouting out "Ace."
Yeah. Embarrassing. Prepare for hellfire.
One enemy remaining.
Ooh.
Nice.
The narrator also presents the success of the team with flawless and Team Ace being announced when the whole team survives and decimates the other team. And finally, there's a loud, triumphant victory sounds. None of these sounds exist in CSGO. These combine for truly exhilarating gameplay that clearly rewards you for doing well and makes you continue to want to play with these audible cues, contrasting the otherwise plain, straightforward CSGO experience that doesn't play rewarding sound effects and just plays the boring main menu theme upon victory and loss. Regardless of playstyle, game mode, or the many minor differences between Valorant, CSGO, or Overwatch, all these video games are fun. All video games in general are fun, and for one main reason. In video games, we get to be something else in an unfamiliar world. We find video games fun because they provide new experiences we otherwise don't feel or experience in real life. The attraction to playing video games and what makes them fun is that it gives people the chance to think about a role they would ideally like to take and then get a chance to play that role. There is this appeal to all video games of us being able to be something else and escape our own reality. We become immersed in video game worlds as we play as something we aren't or something we'd like to be. We find them fun because we get to have these new experiences, and we keep on playing because of the challenges within those worlds, because we want to progress within the video games. Whether it's completing quests to continue the story, trying to rank up in a multiplayer competitive scene, grinding for materials to get better gear and fight stronger enemies, or reaching milestones to building a stronger society, what keeps us hooked within these video games is our human nature, our innate human desire to grow and learn. This is what keeps us hooked, because when we find success and reach our goals using what we've learned and what we worked hard to gain, it is that much more rewarding, and it makes it worth it, and it makes us want to continue to keep growing. This obviously doesn't just apply to why we find video games fun. It explains why we find anything enjoyable in general. It explains why we stop playing video games once we complete the full extent of the game, once our gear and stats become maxed out, once we beat all the bosses, or once we finish the story we were once immersed in. Once we've done everything there is to do and we've reached the skill ceiling, we've stopped playing the video game. It's not fun anymore because there's nothing else to do, no other goal to reach, no other challenge or quest to complete, and because we can't grow stronger and learn more. Look at competitive professional sports. Players continue to play their sport to try and get better, to try and grow stronger, to win more, to win the championship cup or ring. Why? Because the feeling of success, like from winning a tough game, scoring a tough field goal, or winning the championship after working hard, is so good. That rush of dopamine keeps players addicted to the game as they want to grow stronger to continue finding success. And what makes it fun for them is that it's never easy. There's always challenges and there's always room to improve, making it truly fun when they do succeed. In multiplayer games like CSGO, VALORANT, or Overwatch, what makes it fun is that there's always room to improve and it's always a struggle to win games because you play against people similar to your skill level and because you want to get stronger. When that hard work and struggle pays off and you win tough games and make ridiculous plays, that's when we are truly hooked. What is key to having fun from doing any activity is our perceived success, because it's reaching certain points of success that brings us that sense of accomplishment, payoff, and, well, fun, since it feels good having done what you plan to do and since you want to replicate and continue that feeling of success. This sense of success, in essence, is just that exactly, achieving your goals, accomplishing what we plan to do and worked hard to do. Say, winning matches and ranking up is success no matter how you look at it. That's also why creating goals or milestones you want to reach can allow you to have more fun, since rather than mindlessly playing a game and possibly losing interest, you have something to work to, and reaching those goals, especially in an exhilarating video game, releases the dopamine that makes us feel good. This circles back to how us humans want to grow and learn, since fun things like this rewarding process usually revolve around us working towards something and making progress. What I'm trying to say is this. Our human desire to learn and grow stronger and to apply that growth is what makes something fun to us. We find video games, sports, or any hobby fun because we want to get better at it because we want to succeed. We don't play video games because they provide direct benefits to our lives. We play them simply to get better at the video game or to grow stronger within the video game because the feeling of an ace or the feeling of victory is so good and we always have to work hard to get it. This action of working to learn and grow stronger is so addicting because when we reach a milestone or succeed in a challenge, that rush of dopamine is just amazing and we want to continue that feeling. This relates back to players putting down CSGO after only a short period of playing. Inexperienced players may have to work extremely hard to see even a little success, and many people try to get stronger and still don't see success because of just how steep the learning curve is. And so they give up. They don't find it fun because it's hard for them to actually get stronger and apply that strength to success. This is what happens to people learning anything with the steep learning curve in general. Many people try to pick up a new skill or hobby, try to get better at it and learn, but give up early into learning it because they don't see immediate success, which would otherwise motivate them to keep going. They give up before the fun part starts. But I think this is the key part to defining what makes something fun. These things have to have steep learning curves. It always has to be an extremely tough journey to win and find success. It's because of that extremely tough, arduous struggle that makes it feel so good when you do find success. If people found success instantly, it wouldn't be fun. What's the point of doing that activity then? If they find success without hard work and without overcoming strong obstacles, there just isn't that feeling that makes succeeding feel good. There isn't the feeling that makes success feel like success. Sure, you've done it, but it really isn't special. You could have done it from the start, so what part of it would feel rewarding? Really, what makes something fun is the challenges within the activity. It's those challenges that makes accomplishing the goal that much more rewarding, since it's those challenges that make it hard. Still, we find riding a roller coaster, exercise, reading, watching TV, and hanging out with friends all fun. and none of those have concrete goals, obstacles, or much learning involved. Well, fun is a pretty general term, and this feeling can be created through many ways. We find exercising fun because it physically releases chemicals in our brain, like endorphins, that make us feel good. We find playing video games or watching TV or reading a book fun because we get to escape our own reality to other worlds and learn about those different worlds, freeing ourselves away from our own bodies and the weight of life. And at the same time, we find some random stuff fun for seemingly unexplainable reasons.